Microsoft seems to have no chill button right now as it's trying to go against almost every big tech out there. I mean, the most obvious case is this investment in OpenAI, kind of using ChatGPT to combat Google and Alphabet right in their search engine. But that's not the only tech giant they're going after. If we take a closer look at some recent news, Microsoft plans to build a mobile game app store to rival Apple and Google. So first we can see, right, it's trying to take that market share from the search engine. It's trying to take that advertisement revenue. It's trying to improve its productivity software solutions like Microsoft Word, like Microsoft PowerPoint presentation with artificial intelligence. Now it's trying to kind of create its own mobile game store to, again, battle those tech giants. And just before we take a closer look at how that might work, I kind of just want to talk about Alphabet, aka Google, and Apple, and how much revenue they kind of make from this segment, or at least how much they share. Before we go any further, I want to thank you for watching, and I need your help to reach my goal of 30,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you can do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and thumbs up. Also, if you want some fantastic insight into the semiconductor industry, join my other channel, Semiconductor Investing and More, where I use my electrical engineering background to break down the semiconductor market. Finally, I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for their subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode. I want to say not too much. They don't really break it down in specifics, but if we take a closer look at Alphabet, Google mentions that the other Google segment, right here, the Google Other, includes Google Play, which generates revenue from apps and in-app purchases, hardware, and YouTube non-advertisement. If we take a closer look for the full year of 2022, Alphabet or Google made roughly $29 billion in the segment. Again, this includes all those other solutions, not just the App Store, but it kind of just shows us that, hey, this is easily a multi-billion-dollar market. If we take a closer look at Apple, we can see that their App Store is under the services segment. And again, this is another big player for this big tech giant. Services in 2022 was roughly $78 billion. For services, it also includes things like advertisement, cloud services, and the App Store. So both these giants, Google and Apple, don't really break down how much they make necessarily from the App Store. We can see that this is a multi-billion-dollar segment, and Microsoft is definitely trying to kind of get market share here. So here we can see from Phil Spencer, who is the chief executive of Microsoft Gaming. If you are a gamer, you definitely know Phil Spencer. And he mentions in the interview, we want to be in a position to offer Xbox content from both us and our third-party partners across any screen where somebody would want to play, aka the smartphone market. Today, we can't do that on mobile devices, but we want to build towards a world that we think will be coming where those devices are opened up. And I want to say Apple, I think that's why Microsoft a few years ago, they really wanted to create their own phone, right? The Surface Duo, I don't think it did that amazing. If you go to mobile phones right now for Microsoft Store, you don't see any of their phones. You're just seeing the Samsung Galaxy S21. If you remember back in the day, they also had the Microsoft Zune. I don't know if anybody had one of these. I used to have one of these to listen to my music in here. It was supposedly the iPod killer. I honestly like the way it looks. Look at that. It looks great. I had one. I thought it was awesome. I like their Zune store. But it didn't do well, right? And Microsoft has also had different types of phones that they haven't succeeded in. So I want to say Microsoft is not good at doing hardware. The only great hardware, in my opinion, is the Xbox, right? The computers, obviously, more of the software solution side and the operating side, but most computers do come from another OEM like Lenovo, like Asus, and all those big players out there, right? So I want to say it seems like Microsoft might not be the best at hardware, except the Xbox, which is a great anomaly for them. So we can see Microsoft is definitely trying to push this, and they say that this is one of the main reasons they're going with that Activision acquisition. So they say that, hey, we do have a lot of great games right now, but we don't really hit too many genres. because if we go through with this Activision acquisition, we're gonna get games in different products, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Diablo, and this would kind of increase their strength of them being able to open up an app store and be able to compete against the other big players like Google and their app store and Apple and their app store. So it's pretty interesting how Microsoft is using this with a purpose of saying that, hey, you guys out there, and you guys being the regulators in all these countries, especially in the European regions, where you guys are so fed up of Apple and Google being this duopoly. And there is an act right now, we're going to talk about it, and they're saying, hey, if you guys let us go with this Activision acquisition, we are going to be a competitor to the App Store, to those players. So I think it's pretty interesting how they are kind of talking to regulators and trying to make a push there to, one, both make an acquisition of the Activision go through, and second, to make Apple and Google allow third-party apps to come to their store. And if we could take a closer look here, there is this Digital Markets Act that's coming, and it's happening in Europe. It's DMA for short. And this is something that's going to designate Apple and Google as gatekeepers into the current hardware mobile system. And by doing this, it's going to change the rules where it's going to force iPhones and Android devices to allow other forms of app stores to be in their platform. Because right now, the only app stores are the ones created by those platforms themselves. There are reports that this Microsoft App Store could come as soon as 2024, but obviously it's all going to take into account with those regulations and those lawsuits happening in Europe. I want to say something like this does take time, but it is pretty cool to see Microsoft focus in something like this, and I think it's going to be the great move. If it does happen, I think this is a great revenue builder for Microsoft, and it just continues to show that this is a company that is going at all-out war right now. And I am a Microsoft investor, and I also am an investor of other big tech giants, but the more I read about Microsoft and their management and all these investments they're making, the more excited about the company. And I don't know if I'm calling it too early, but if things go the way that Microsoft wants them to go, I want to say probably Microsoft is going to be the top performer in all the top big tech giants of right now. Obviously, new top big giants can come out of nowhere, and that might be a different story. But out of the top players right now, I think Microsoft definitely has a great chance of being a great returner. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.